Good morning, it's Harvey Jackson. USDA has its trade estimates today. A couple of the areas that I probably will pay attention to is just, world ending stocks, and I don't have it on the page here, but the corn, wheat, and soybeans, and whether it's going to start reflecting enough of the potential losses or changes from the previous report. So and it's usually not a big report, but it's going to be about the stocks, I think, more than the production, because it's all unknown production in Northern Hemisphere right now. Soybean steady ahead of the USDA report, and it's just there's 4% so far. Soybean prices have risen 4%, but then it pulled back. That's all it's saying here. U.S. conflict with Iran here is still ongoing, even though they're trying to button together some ceasefire here. So, but there's still the odd ship trying to slip through the Strait of Hormuz. And there's the somewhat relief in heat. I will show you some of the maps and how they change here. Here's one of the, I think it's a global news reporter asking some tough questions. And watch Carney's face, like he does not like these questions at all.
Gray with Global News. You've been spending a lot of time with Donald Trump. You had a long conversation with him on the phone at NATO. Big thumbs up. The cameras caught you doing that. One thing we've heard from the Americans is that if there's going to be a breakthrough in trade, it needs to happen at the leaders level. So do you think you've made any progress with the president when it comes to trade?
I'll keep you posted.
On boarding outreach, the U.S. ambassador has said that there are two issues the Americans have: control of the bridge and tolls. They want more money sooner. Are you willing to renegotiate the current agreement to make sure the bridge opens?
I think we're willing to clarify aspects of the current arrangements.
So non-answers, and he does not like these questions because I don't think he wants a deal. I think he wants the elbows up, I guess. So El Nino, of course, there's lots of different lines on here, but it's still strengthening by the looks of it in October and November, and potentially into December, and that's going to affect the South America crop more so than the U.S. because if it's still, it shouldn't have that much impact there, but it will have some impact on, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia, Argentina even, but I would say the bigger impacts will be in the Southern Hemisphere for sure. So there's a jet stream that's going to be shifting, and it looks like it's going to be favoring some moisture in some of the corn belt there. Here's their temperature shifts, and what I have is a European model on one side and the GFS on the other. And once you get past a week, right about here somewhere, it starts to change where they forecast the heat and whether it's even going to be hitting. And you notice it's pretty absent in the major corn growing area, but it's still it looks like the West is going to get the heat primarily, but just the differences, and I call it forecasts not being correct. There's only like a 60% chance that 3 to 5 day forecast is correct. So when we look 14 days out, it's not going to be. Here's your 5-day temperature anomaly, so you can see Manitoba and Ontario are going to be warmer, with the West plains are going to be warm. There's, I was talking to another client, and he was talking about how desert-like this is. There's nothing growing there at all. Rather take a little bit of moisture than nothing at all. Here's your 7 to 14 day forecast, and it looks like they're going to get the moisture, and we're going to be sitting without. Now, hopefully that is fine for most of the crops. I can't say until we actually get growing there. So canola is just fractionally up at 7.74. Soybean oil is fractionally up at 69.72. Palm oil is down. Crude oil basically unchanged at $72 a barrel. Diesel fuel is just down a penny at 3.48 a U.S. gallon. Soybeans down 3.5 at 11.78. Probably just positioning, trying to get neutral ahead of the USDA report, just in case there's some surprises there. Spring wheat is down a penny and a half. Your spring wheat, or your hard red winter, is down 3.25, and your Chicago wheat is down 3.75. Milling wheat basically unchanged. Corn down 3.5, and the Canadian dollar is down. You can see that we've had this leg up, and now we're starting to leg down on the canola. Rapeseed It seems to be just part of these waves that are in that channel. Soybean oil never had that same leg up, but right now you're looking at topping out and starting to point towards the downward momentum here. Soybean futures, you had a pretty good run up, and the last few days have been going down. Now we'll see what the USDA gives us for soybeans. Crude oil basically in the middle of the channel. That was palm, and then crude oil is down again, but trading right at where there was this previous gap. Diesel fuel pulled off from its big run up a couple of days ago, and now it's pulled back down to the middle of that candle. And your gasoline futures still feels like there's still upward momentum there. Canadian dollar, it's been quite a long time just chopping sideways, maybe with a little bit of an upward tilt, but up against some of the short-term moving averages. I still think that the market could potentially have this downward direction if there isn't any correction to the Canadian economy here. NASDAQ seems to be the barometer that Trump likes to measure himself as far as being, hey, the economy is doing well in the U.S., same with the S&P, but he doesn't realize probably greater portion of his population doesn't trade in either one of these things. So let's have a look at wheat. So if we just look at this area here, we've had a run up and a couple now waves going back up here. We're above the short-term moving averages, and we're a little ways to be able to get up to that next moving average, medium-term moving average. So when you look at the new crop, we're up against some resistance, it seems. So, and Kansas up against some resistance there as well. Same thing with Chicago. Your European Matef wheat just chopping away, but looks like there's some upward momentum. Corn had that nice leg up, and now it's got a little bit of a fall here. And that's all we've got. USDA report later today.